and it's IDFC First that is in focus. Let's hear out the management.
It's pretty straight. First of all, we've got to do it. We agree with the issue. The right now ROE is close to about 2%. But any startup bank in its early stage always starts with a low ROE. It builds over time. If here too it can be built. But why will it be built? We think that as we do more retailization, the yields on retail loans is better. The credit quality of retail loans are more stable and predictable, and therefore the margins from that business are better in the long run. Now, Capital First already has close to about 15 to 16% return on equity on its 32,000 crore loan book.
Okay.
So when the retail proportion increases, this will happen. Secondly, as the book scales up, we find that the operational leverage, meaning for the same cost, higher book, will certainly play out. So to your comment, we agree with the comment and we need to fix it.
Okay, brilliant. So speaking about the book, it's a mix of retail as well as corporate book, and correct me if I'm wrong, right now the share of retail is somewhere around 32,000 odd crore, and we would be having a broad asset size of nearly around slightly over 1 lakh crore. How do you see the mix change over the next say a few years, 4 to 5 years, mix between retail and wholesale, and within that any key segments that you would be in fact focusing on?
Our key focus will be to build this, needless to say. We think wholesale is very important, by the way. There are many things wholesale banking brings to the marketplace. In terms of cash management, in terms of foreign exchange, in terms of trade, in terms of supply chain financing, there's a lot in corporate. But the focus definitely will be to build retail. We think 5 years to 6 years from now, certainly we want to be 70% retail and 30% wholesale. We're starting with the other way around. We're starting with 70% wholesale, 30% retail today. We think this flip will happen somewhere in the middle of the year, but certainly end of 5 years, you will see the flip.
So within that retail segment, which you want to grow the share to 70%, we are aware that right now a lot of the retail book is again SME lending book. Would you further diversify from the SME into other segments, and if so, what would that be?
Both organizations have launched retail products, and therefore now I see it as a combined institution. Now on this combined institution, a significant portion is of course SME financing that will continue to grow in the years to come. Housing finance for affordable housing will be a big growth area in India as well as for us. And thirdly, consumption financing will be a big story. We think all these things put together, retail alone to grow at between 23 to 25% year on year for the next few years is certainly our ambition, and I think we can get there.
Brilliant. On the liability franchisee, and again there are certain challenges wherein we are seeing that the CASA ratio is still very low for IDFC Bank, currently just around 13% and a good amount of work still needs to be done to build the liability franchisee to get the real benefit of lower cost of funds. Give me a second. We are also seeing a lot of competition coming on the liability franchisee, be it from the small finance banks and generally from the system. How would you build your liability franchisee?
Frank, it's a great question, and I think that is the question to ask, because many people ask us, what is your liability strategy? And I'm sure investors and customers will want to know that. Now, as far as we are concerned, first of all, we acknowledge the issue. 12% CASA percentage is not our desired goal. We want to grow. More than that, retail as a percentage of the total borrowing of the bank, we believe this has to grow. It's close to about 10% today or 11%. We want to take it to close to about 40 or 50% in the next 5 years. So retail, which includes CASA as well as retail deposits.
Okay.
Now, that is definitely a growth area for us. And how? We will put up branches, we will introduce payment solutions, we will introduce, bring greater reach, and of course greater focus. That is our focus number one, priority number one.
Okay. Speaking about asset quality, and I am quite aware that a lot of the provisions by IDFC Bank have already been done, but still, just for the benefit of our viewers, we're also seeing that there are some amount of concerns coming on the SME and the lab book where Capital First is present, and which the phenomena has just started in the last couple of quarters itself. With the NBFC crisis, it has just become more pronounced, I guess. How do you see the challenges on the asset quality front in terms of your credit cost now for the merged entity for the next 1 year? What is the kind of credit cost that you would be seeing?
First of all, I think you should compliment us that just in time we got the access to banking platform.
Absolutely.
To your comment on NBFC, but hopefully they'll all be fine in due course. With regard to what is our strategy, like I said, we are very conscious that we want to be able to put out the branch network in the country. Right now we have close to about 200 branches, and of the 200 branches, about 100 are in urban areas and 100 are in rural areas. We think that combinedly we want to roll out at least 500 more branches over the next few years, and then you will see a lot more branches, a lot more ATMs, you will see a lot more action.